Hello everyone, welcome to Must Chemistry channel, and this is our must topic series. And what do we mean by must topics? Must topics are those topics which you cannot dare to leave for your JEE and NEET, right? Why? Because these are the most trendiest, these are the most hottest topic of your competitive exams like JEE and NEET. So in this video today, the topic that I'm going to discuss is, guys, nucleophilicity, and this is also a must topic. A must topic. A must topic means a topic that you cannot dare to leave, right, guys? So let's begin our discussion. So now, guys, nucleophilicity. So nucleophilicity is somehow related to nucleophile, right? So in order to understand nucleophilicity first, we need to understand that what do we understand by nucleophile, right? So in organic chemistry, phile means loving. Phile means loving, and before phile there is a word called nucleus, right? So these are the species which love nucleus, right? What is the charge on nucleus? The charge on nucleus is positive charge. It means these species must be electron rich. That is why they love nucleus, because nucleus has positive charge. So simple definition of nucleophiles are that nucleophiles are electron rich species, right? So since they are electron rich, so what kind of species can act as nucleophile? You tell me, guys. So can I say anions? Anions are having negative charge. Negative charge means they are electron rich. So anions can act as nucleophiles. And let me tell you, all anions in organic chemistry are nucleophiles, right? They are nucleophiles. Similarly, neutral species can also act as nucleophile. Now, what kind of neutral species? Neutral species in which on central metal atom there are lone pair of electrons, like water, right? Like water. Water on the top of oxygen there are two lone pair. Like alcohol on the top of oxygen there are two lone pair. Similarly, phenol, etc. These all species can act as nucleophile, right? So what are nucleophile? Conclude with me. Nucleophiles are electron rich species. They are nucleus loving. That's why they are electron rich. And what kind of species can act as nucleophile? Anions can act as nucleophile, and neutral molecules having lone pair of electrons can also act as nucleophiles, right, guys? Lone pair of electrons on central metal atom can act as nucleophiles. So this is the meaning of nucleophile, right? Now let me define nucleophile more precisely to you. Okay, so what is the function of nucleophile? Since they are electron rich, so guys, they want to donate their electron to the electron deficient site. Electron deficient site means sites having positive charge, delta positive. There they wants to donate their electron pair. So how we define nucleophile properly in organic chemistry? What is the meaning of nucleophile? The meaning of nucleophile is, guys, they are electron donor, and they donate electrons and generate sigma bond. This is very, very important. They donate their electron pair and generate sigma bond, right? They donate their electron pair and generate sigma bond. These species are called nucleophiles, right, guys? So I hope nucleophile is clear to you. Now the next term is nucleophilicity. Next term is nucleophilicity. So nucleophilicity simply means power of nucleus. That's it. Done. Right? What is the meaning of nucleophilicity? Power of nucleus. Now, what do we understand by power of nucleus? Power of nucleophile, not nucleus. Nucleophilicity simply means power of nucleophile. Now, what do we understand by power of nucleophile? So, power of nucleophile means, suppose we have two nucleophiles, A and B, right? Now, let's say A can easily donate its electron pair, and B has certain kind of difficulties in donating its electron pair. So, who is better nucleophile? Which can easily donate electron pair? A can easily donate electron pair, so it means it's a better nucleophile. If it's a better nucleophile, it is having good nucleophilicity, or it is having more nucleophilicity as compared to B, right? So if someone asks you compare nucleophilicity order, the first thought that should click in your mind is that nucleophilicity means power of nucleus. Which nucleophile can easily donate electron pair? Which nucleophile can easily donate electron pair? That is called nucleophilicity. Power of nucleophile, or tendency of a nucleophile to donate electron pair and generate sigma bond, is called nucleophilicity. Simple as that. This is called nucleophilicity, right, guys? Okay, there are certain another points here that I will highlight. Okay, so see, whatever I have said till now, I have written on the board as well, so I can give you the quick recap of the session, and that this can fit in your mind easily, right? See, nucleophile, Nucleophiles are electron donor species because since they are electron rich. Okay, and what kind of species can be nucleophiles? Anions can be nucleophile. You can see that fluorine, F minus, Cl minus, Br minus, OH minus, these all can act as nucleophiles. And if anions, all anions are nucleophile, then we have guys neutral atoms. And what kind of neutral atoms? In which central metal atom is having lone pair of electrons. As you can see that neutral species having lone pair of electron, H2O, alcohol, phenol, water, right? All of them in oxygen there are lone pair. So these are example of nucleophile, right? What are other definitions? See, this is the proper definition of nucleophile. They donate electron pair. Yes, they donate electron pair except H plus. Now why I have written except H plus, so I will tell you this logic also later. Okay, except H plus and generate sigma bond. So they donate their electron pair except H plus and generate sigma bond. These are called nucleophiles, right? Tendency of a nucleophile to donate electron pair is called nucleophilicity. I told you the one which can easily donate its electron pair will be better nucleophile as compared to the one who cannot, right guys? So this is about the definition of nucleophile. Now guys, one very important point that can be targeted in your competitive exams like JEE and NEET, that is guys the difference between nucleophilicity and basicity. What is nucleophilicity and basicity the same thing, or is there is any kind of difference? So that is what I'm going to discuss here, and one time in JEE Advanced this concept has been targeted, right? Nucleophilicity versus basicity. Okay, now if I ask you what is the definition of base, so maximum student will say sir OH minus donor, right? But mainly I'm discussing about Lewis base, right? We know that na Lewis acid base, we know Lewis acid base concept. What are Lewis acid? Electron pair acceptor. What are Lewis base? Electron pair donor, right? So Lewis base are electron pair donor, and nucleophile is also electron pair donor. So are they same thing, or is there is any difference? So let me tell you, there is a difference. There is a difference between nucleophilicity and basicity. Now what is that difference? So that I will discuss in this topic, nucleophilicity versus basicity. See, nucleophile donate its electron pair to electron deficient site except H plus. See, H plus is also electron deficient, but nucleophile, if someone is donating its electron pair to H plus, then we don't call it nucleophile, we will call it base. That is the difference, that is the thin line between nucleophile and base. Nucleophile donates its electron pair to electron deficient center except H plus, and base donates its electron pair. Lewis base means electron pair donor, right? It donates its electron pair to H plus only, not any other electron deficient site, only H plus. So if donation of electron pair is to H plus, base. If donation of electron pair to other species, then nucleophile. Simple is that. So this is the basic difference. So now I hope what this definition that I have written here, that they donate electron pair except H plus and generate sigma bond, this definition is crystal clear to you, right? Now there are other differences also, and these are the differences given in some good books like some good books, Peter Sykes and MS Chauhan. So, okay, these differences are given there. Okay, so basically what is other difference? Nucleophilicity is KCP. Nucleophilicity is KCP and basicity is TCP. Now what is the meaning of KCP and what is the meaning of TCP, right? So KCP simply means kinetically controlled product and TCP simply means thermodynamically controlled product. So in the simple word guys, kinetics is somehow related to the rate of reaction, speed. With what speed you can donate the electrons, speed, rate, speed, rate. Okay, so that is basically KCP. So nucleophilicity depends upon the rate or on the speed by which a nucleophile can donate electron pair. So that's why it is KCP. It is kinetically controlled product, means it somehow depends upon the rate of the reaction. Okay, whereas basicity is not KCP, basicity is TCP. Now what is TCP? Thermodynamically controlled product. So thermodynamic is somehow related to the stability, right? Who can act as a good base? It doesn't matter who can easily donate its H plus. Who can easily donate its H plus? It does not depend on that. It depends on that after donating H plus, the thing that you are getting, is that stable or not? If it is stable, okay, if after donating H plus, after donating lone pair, if you are getting stable cation, then that will be a good base. So somehow, if you remember, you might have done this in GOC, basicity somehow depends upon the stability of cation. Stable is the cation, more is the basicity. Okay. Similarly, acidity also depends upon the stability of anion. Stable is the anion, more is the acidity, right? Like alcohol, phenol, who is a better acid? Phenol is a better acid. What is the reason? After donating H plus, phenol will form phenoxide. After donating H plus, alcohol will form alkoxide. Phenoxide is a better, phenoxide is resonance stabilized. So since it is better stable anion, it is better acid. So basicity and acidity acidity, I can say that they are TCP. This is the meaning of TCP, and this is what you should know about it. Nothing more, nothing more. If they will target this point specifically in JEE mains and in JEE advanced they already asked, but in JEE mains and even if in NEET they will target, so you should know that what is KCP and what is TCP. So I hope this is clear. Nucleophilicity is KCP, means it depends on the speed by which a nucleophile donated its electron pair. Basicity has nothing to do with the speed. And what is other difference? Nucleophilicity means nucleophile donated its electron pair to electron deficient except H plus. If anything is donating its electron pair to H plus, or we can say that anything is abstracting H plus, then that would be base. That would be base. This is the difference between, guys, this is the difference between nucleophilicity and basicity, right? I have written one example also that will crystal clear your concepts more. You can see that this is OH minus. Okay, I hope you can see that, right? Okay, yes, this is OH minus, this is OH minus, and this is Rx. Okay, I have written little small, this is OH minus and this is Rx. So here basically what OH minus is doing, this X minus is going out as a leaving group, and OH minus is generating a sigma bond with substrate. It's generating a sigma bond with substrate, right? So here OH minus is donating its electron pair. It's donating its electron pair and generating sigma bond. See, this is a sigma bond. So here OH minus is behaving as a nucleophile. Here OH minus is behaving as a nucleophile. But I have another example also. See, this is OH minus and this is HCl. OH minus and HCl. Here what OH minus is doing, basically OH minus is abstracting H plus. Okay, OH minus, we can say that here OH minus is taking H plus, okay, or we can say that Cl minus is going out and OH minus is donating its electron pair to H plus, because this is H plus. So here OH minus is not nucleophile since it is donating its electron pair to H plus, or it is abstracting H plus. It's a base, it's not a nucleophile. So I hope this difference is clear, because if they can target this question in your competitive exam, right guys? Okay, now there are other points as well that I'm going to discuss quickly with you. Okay, so I told you that nucleophilicity and basicity are not the same thing. It's not same. There is the difference. There is a thin line between nucleophilicity and basicity, and that thin line is crystal clear to us, right? Now guys, sometime what happens, basically the type of question that they ask question based on order. You have to compare the order of different compounds will be given to you, and they will ask you compare the order of nucleophilicity. Okay, so now guys, sometime nucleophilicity and basicity have same order. In some cases, nucleophilicity and basicity can have same order, but in some cases that order is different. In some cases, whatever is the order that you are getting for nucleophilicity, for basicity you will get opposite order. So that order will be different. So this is what I have written. The order of basicity and nucleophilicity can be same or cannot be same depending upon the case. That we will see later in this lecture, that we will see, right? So it's not like that nucleophilicity is also parallel to basicity. No. It can be parallel, it can be anti-parallel, means it can be directly related, it can be indirectly related, depending upon the case, right guys? So this is all about nucleophile basics, and this is about nucleophilicity. So I hope you guys understood it well. Okay, now when we discuss nucleophilicity question, solvent also plays an important role. When we discuss the question of nucleophilicity, solvent also plays an important role, right? If I will change the solvent, then the order of the nucleophilicity will change, and these kind of questions where they will change the solvent are very, very important for your competitive exams, right? Okay, now what is the basic, basically we have two types of solvent in organic chemistry. Quickly I'm revising. We have polar and we have non-polar. What is the meaning of polar? Polar means dipole moment non-zero. Which kind of compounds are polar? If I ask you check which of the following is polar, polar means you check whose dipole moment is non-zero, that compound will be polar. Now how we check dipole moment, so that I will take in different class. I hope you already knows that, right? Okay, polar means mu is not equal to 0. Mu is not equal to 0 means their dipole moment is not equal to 0, right? Okay, so we have two types of polar solvent. We have polar protic and we have polar aprotic. We have polar protic and we have polar aprotic. Now first question, how we are going to identify that the given solvent is polar protic or polar aprotic, right? What is the difference? See, if a hydrogen if hydrogen is attached to electronegative element like phone, fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen. Phone. If hydrogen is attached to electronegative atom like fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen, then that solvent 100% will come out to be polar, right? Can you tell me an example of polar solvent? Everyone knows the universal solvent, water. So if this is water, so here hydrogen is attached to oxygen, right? So whenever hydrogen is attached to electronegative element like fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen, those kind of things will become polar. So this is water, this is alcohol, this is phenol and this is HF, right? Here hydrogen is attached to electronegative atom. So this is how we check polar protic solvent. It's very easy, and I don't think anyone is going to ask you identify the polar protic solvent. But the most important point about polar protic solvent is that they can solvate both cation and anion. They solve it both cation and anion. Now, what is the meaning of that? Suppose we have water and you are putting NaCl in it, right? So what is going to happen? NaCl is a strong electrolyte. It will dissociate into ions Na plus and Cl minus. Na plus in water will be surrounded by water molecules. Similarly, Cl minus in water will be surrounded by water molecules, right? So that is called solvation. Or we also call it hydration. In case of water we call it hydration, with other solvent we call it solvation. That is called solvation. So polar protic solvent can solve it both cation and anion. Very, very important and very easy statement, right? They can solve it both cation and anion. If you put NaCl in water, Na plus will be surrounded by water molecule, Cl minus will also be surrounded by water molecule, and this process is called hydration. In other solvent it would be called solvation, right? So polar protic, how to identify polar protic, that is clear to us, and and they can solve it both cation and anion, that is also clear. Okay. Now guys, polar aprotic. Now we have polar aprotic solvent. This is important, right? Maximum student don't know about it. Polar aprotic. Now what is the meaning of polar aprotic? Okay, so since they are polar, their dipole moment is non-zero. But how we are going to identify polar aprotic? So in polar aprotic, there is no such hydrogen that is attached to electronegative element like fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen. There will be no hydrogen attached to electronegative element, fluorine, oxygen and nitrogen. Then we will call them polar aprotic, right? Now guys, in polar aprotic, the examples are very, very important. Okay, these examples you have to remember. They will not mention that this is polar protic or polar aprotic. You should know it. In SN1 and SN2 also they play a very important role, right? So DMF, what is DMF? They won't give you the structure, they only write in this way. DMF, dimethyl formide. Okay, similarly DMSO is also very famous. DMSO is dimethyl sulfoxide. So DMF you remember, DMSO you remember. Humpha is very rare. Okay, like for advanced it may be important, but in mains and NEET they want to target this Humpha, etc. These are polar aprotic. Keep in your mind. DMF, DMSO, Humpha. Okay, crown ethers are also polar aprotic, but let it be. Okay, so these solvent you remember for polar aprotic. Now what is important regarding polar aprotic? Is that polar protic can solve it both cation and anion. But you know polar aprotic, this is the structure of polar aprotic, DMSO. Okay, I will show you the structure. Okay, this is the structure of DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. Okay, so because of electronegativity difference, it will acquire delta plus and it will acquire delta minus, right? Now you know what happens here. This delta plus is crowded. Now you like, sir, what is this? Crowded? Array, two methyl groups are there. It is surrounded by two methyl group, and methyl groups are bulky group. So here delta plus is crowded. Okay, so you know if you add something, so anion cannot approach this delta plus. Suppose Na plus Cl minus you added, so Cl minus cannot approach this delta plus because this delta plus is already crowded. It cannot be approached by anion. Whereas this delta minus, if you can see that this delta minus is open, it can be approached by cation easily. So the number one, the most important point regarding polar aprotic solvent is that they can solve it only cations, not anions. Very, very important. Whereas polar protic can solve it cation as well as anion. Whereas polar aprotic, they can only solve it cation, not anion. Very, 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 very important point, right? So here I have written only solve it cation, not anion. Only solve it cation, not anion. Only solve it cation, not anion. And I have shown you the examples as well. Example is, guys, example is DMSO, right? So solvent play a significant role in deciding nucleophilicity, right guys? Okay, so polar protic solvent is clear, aprotic is clear. Okay, this I have written. We have non-polar solvents also, famous one. What is non-polar? Whose dipole moment is 0. So we have non-polar solvent as well. Okay. So in a non-polar, what are the example? Carbon disulfide, CCl4, okay, benzene, their net dipole moment will come out to be 0, so that's why they are non-polar solvent, right guys? Okay, so this is all about the basics. This is all about the introduction of nucleophilicity topic. These things you must know, right? Now after the discussion, we will start with the comparison, and in comparison I will tell you 4 rules, okay? On with those 4 rules we are going to decide nucleophilicity. So let's begin with those rules now. So now guys, these are the questions based on nucleophilicity, okay, that I'm going to discuss with you. These are the factors that affects nucleophilicity, right? So one by one you have to follow these rules. There are certain rules to decide nucleophilicity. So if you don't follow the rules and if you apply any other logic, then the most probably you will get the wrong answer, right? So what are the rules? So first rule is rule 1, that anion will have more nucleophilicity than neutral atom, right? Anion will have more nucleophilicity than neutral atom. Now why? What is the reason? See, nucleophilicity depends upon electron density. If there are 2 things, one is having more electron density, it means it is more capable of donating its electron pair, right? So if I'm saying anion is having more nucleophilicity than neutral atom, it means anion is having more electron density, and obviously it has negative charge, so it has more electron density. So anion is having more electron density, and since that is why it is having more nucleophilicity, right? So anion is having more nucleophilicity. Very simple. Nucleophilicity is directly proportional to electron density. Here OH minus and H2O. What is the order of nucleophilicity? Simply OH minus, RO minus, PHO minus, phenoxide, NH2 minus, RCO minus, SH minus. All of them are having more nucleophilicity. So this is one of the simplest comparison. Anion will be more nucleophile than neutral atom. Okay, because anion has more nucleophilicity. Obviously this is very simple. Negative will easily donate its electron pair as compared to neutral, right guys? Okay, now even these kind of questions can also be asked. Suppose I'm asking you to compare nucleophilicity here, okay, as you can see. Okay, so all are anions. This is also an ion, this is also an ion, this is also an ion. All are anion. So now we have to check that who can easily donate its electron pair. So you can see that here the electron pair of negative charge of this oxygen is a part of resonance with the 2 pi bonds, right? Here the negative charge of oxygen is part of resonance with 1 pi bond. Here there is no resonance, so here it means its negative charge is intact. It is not participating, it is not delocalized. So who has maximum tendency to donate electron pair? This one. Then it has resonance, it also has resonance, but here the extent of resonance is greater because negative charge is a part of resonance with 2 pi bond. So here extent is greater, but here the extent is lesser. So I can say that the number 1 who will have maximum nucleophilicity, this one and then this one, right guys? So if all are anions, then you have to check that who's having more electron density or whose electron pair are intact and not a part of resonance, and in that case that would have more nucleophilicity. Clear? So this is your rule 1. Anions will have more nucleophilicity than neutral atom, okay, and this is how we decide. So first one is clear. Now come to question second rule. So second rule is important if they are asking you nucleophilicity in same period. For same period element, if they are asking you to compare nucleophilicity. So nucleophilicity depends upon number of factors. There are so many factors, but if you are talking about period, so in period the dominating factor is electronegativity. In period the dominating factor is electronegativity, guys, right? Now you are like, okay, dominating factor is electronegativity. Yes, dominating factor is electronegativity. If more electronegativity, it has less tendency to donate electron pair, because electron negativity is tendency to attract shared pair of electron. So if it has more electronegativity, it has less tendency to donate electron pair. But this logic you can only apply in period, because in periods the dominating factor is electronegativity. So if you are comparing nucleophilicity of those species which belongs to same period, then it's better to use electronegativity. Not better, you have to use electronegativity, right? Okay, so electronegativity increase, nucleophilicity decrease. Very simple. See, this kind of question they can ask: CH3 minus NH2 minus, OH minus, F minus. What is the order of nucleophilicity? Who along the period, what happens to electronegativity? I hope everyone knows about it. What happens to electronegativity along the period? It decreases. Right? Electronegativity, ionization energy, electron gain enthalpy, they are basically inversely proportional to size. Okay, not always, exceptions are there, but they are generally inversely proportional to size. So size along the period, everyone knows na, size along the period decreases, so electronegativity increases. So if electronegativity, carbon, nitrogen, fluorine, oxygen, who will have maximum electronegativity? Fluorine. So it means it will be least nucleophilic. It will be least nucleophilic. Its nucleophilicity will be least. Understood? Similarly, we have SH minus and we have Cl minus. Where they belong? Are they belong to same period? Yes, they belong to same period. This is oxygen family, sulfur, and this is halogen family, chlorine, right? Understood? Okay. So along the period, electronegativity decreases, right? Along the period, electronegativity increases. I'm sorry. So chlorine has more electronegativity, so that's why its nucleophilicity is less, right, guys? So along the period, we can use the fundamental of electronegativity to decide nucleophilicity, right? Now see, even this kind of questions can also be answered on nucleophilicity, on electronegativity. We have this, right? Here carbon, central donating atom is same, okay? But how we are going to decide now? See, this carbon is sp hybridized, this carbon is sp2 hybridized, this carbon is sp3 hybridized. I hope everyone knows about it. Okay, this is sp, this is sp2, this is sp3. Who is having more electronegativity? Sp carbon is more electronegative. So if sp carbon is more electronegative, it means it will face maximum difficulty in donating its electron pair. So that's why its nucleophilicity will be least. Okay, but again, caution is that don't apply this rule anywhere. If you apply this rule in group of electronegativity rule, you will fail miserably, right? So make sure you are applying this rule only in period, because in period the dominating factor is electronegativity. So two rules we have discussed so far, that anions has more nucleophilic than neutral atoms, or we can simply say more electron density, more nucleophilicity. Second rule we have discussed, if you are comparing for same period, then the dominating factor is electronegativity, right? Okay, triple bonded carbon, double bonded carbon, single bonded carbon also answered on the basis of nucleophilicity, on the basis of electronegativity. So two rules we have discussed. Now come to the third rule. Now what is our third rule? Third rule is very important. Now top to bottom, if you are comparing compounds which belongs to same group, then how? So in group, guys, don't compare with electronegativity. In group, the dominating factor is solvation. What is the dominating factor? Dominating factor is size, I can say, or I can say that solvation. Now what is the meaning of solvation, or what is the meaning of hydration? So when you put something in water, it will undergo hydration. We know that, right? It will undergo hydration. So you might know this, that solvation, tendency of solvation or tendency of hydration is inversely proportional to size. Okay, if the size of ion is greater, hydration will be lesser. Very, very important. More is the size of ion, less is the hydration. Okay, so when you are comparing in the same group, so size will contribute to a much extent, right? So suppose one ion is having like F minus, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus. We are comparing their nucleophilicity in water. I minus has maximum size. Everyone knows that down the group size increases. I minus has maximum size. So if I minus has maximum size, it means its solvation will be least. It will be least surrounded with water molecules. This is the meaning of solvation or hydration. Its hydration will be least, means it will be least surrounded. It will be least surrounded with water molecule, guys. Right, it will be least surrounded with water molecule. If it is least surrounded with water molecule, it means it can easily donate its electron pair. It can easily donate its electron pair. It is free to donate its electron pair. Whereas F minus has smallest size. If F minus has smallest size, then its hydration or its solvation will be maximum, and it is not free. Water molecule will trap F minus inside it. So F minus is not free to donate its electron pair. So that's why it is a weak nucleophile, weakest nucleophile in polar Protek solvent. Right? So when we are comparing in group, we have to take care of size. As size increases, solvation decreases and nucleophilicity increases, right? Nucleophilicity will be directly related to size. Understood, guys? Okay. Now if you remember, I told basicity can be parallel, basicity can be anti-parallel. Here whatever is the order of nucleophilicity, same order for basicity also. Obviously OH minus will be more basic than H2O. Similarly here Same order, guys. Here also basicity is parallel to nucleophilicity. More basicity, more nucleophilicity. Okay, but here if you comparing on the group, so down the group, nucleophilicity is increasing, but basicity is decreasing. Okay, basicity has nothing to do with solvation, or basicity has nothing to do with that, right? Okay, basicity is to accept H plus, or yeah, who can easily accept H plus. It's related to that. Okay, so here basicity and nucleophilicity order is opposite. Okay, so it can be parallel, it can be anti-parallel, depends upon the case, right? Focus on this. Anion has more nucleophilic than neutral, more electron density, more nucleophilicity, same group, same period. Tell me the answer. Electronegativity is deciding. Electronegativity increase, nucleophilicity decrease. Same group, polar protect, size increase, solvation decrease, nucleophilicity increase. Simple as that, right? Let's take few more other examples. OH minus, SH minus. Yes, they belong to same group. SH minus has more size, less solvation, more nucleophilicity. PHO minus, PH minus, same group. Okay, PH minus, PHS minus has more size, less solvation, more nucleophilicity. Understood? Okay. Let's compare this question also. CS3O minus, CS3NH minus, and CS3S minus, right? See, here this has maximum size. Okay, so its maximum size, so its solvation will be least, so it is best nucleophile. Now these belong to same period, oxygen and nitrogen. Okay, so oxygen is more electronegative, so it will be least nucleophilic, and then second number will be for nitrogen. Understood? Okay, so third point is also clear. Now guys, this is a very, very important point, and this point has been targeted in different competitive exams, right? Now in polar protic solvent, it's clear, more solvation, less nucleophilicity. But if they ask the same order of F minus, Cl minus, Br minus in polar aprotic. Now see, in aprotic, I told you, aprotic there will be no solvation of anion. Aprotic solvent can only solvate cation, not anion. So solvation factor is gone. In aprotic, solvation factor is gone. Solvation is not playing any kind of role in case of aprotic solvent. Okay, so now here we simply decide with electron density. Okay, F minus, Cl minus, Br minus, I minus. Who is having maximum size? I minus. So if you go down the group, then what is happening to the electron density? Electron density is decreasing. Are size is increasing. Are size is increasing, so electron density is decreasing. Right? Right? So this is having least electron density, so this will become least nucleophilic. Okay, and F minus has maximum electron density because of small size, so this will become best nucleophile, but in polar aprotic. So guys, this is why I have discussed all these things. Okay, because one of the most important point of this whole discussion is this. So make sure you are keeping this in your mind, that if DMF is written, DMSO is written, Hampa is written, so make sure when you are comparing, so solvation is not participate, so then deciding factor is electron density, and down the group electron density decrease, so nucleophilicity decrease. Here nucleophilicity and basicity will become parallel, because basicity is somehow related to electron density, so here it will become parallel. Understood? Very, very important. The last point related to nucleophilicity is this: nucleophilicity is inversely proportional to steric crowding. Okay, suppose if donor atom is same, O minus, O minus, O minus, donor atom is same. Now you know nucleophile has one condition. Nucleophile has to donate its electron pair, and it has to generate sigma bond. Nucleophile has to donate its electron pair, and it has to generate sigma bond, right? Now can you see that this factor, this is sterically crowded nucleophile. Okay, so it will be little difficult for it to generate sigma bond as easily as compared to this. It's least sterically crowded. It can easily donate electron pair and generate sigma bond. So steric factor also plays an important role. Steric factor also plays an important role in case of nucleophilicity. So more is the steric crowding. Steric crowding means steric crowding, understood? Okay, 3 bulky methyl group is there, so this is going, but bulkiness is clear, so it cannot fit properly, it cannot generate sigma bond properly. So more steric crowding, less is the nucleophilicity when donor atom is same. So guys, this is all about our must topic, that is nucleophilicity. So I hope you enjoyed this lecture. I hope I am able to give you the value of whatever the times you have contributed here. So thank you very much, and if you do like the content of this channel, do subscribe, share, and comment also. Thank you very much guys. This is it.